Sal Palantonio was on ESPN Radio this morning and said the Browns are still right in the thick of it for DeAndre Hopkins. Do you buy that even the slightest? And I don't have any tag board. I don't have any graphics. This came across my timeline a second ago. You do buy that?
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
I think I said when this started, the longer this goes, the more I would like the Browns'
This would
chances.
be a huge move for the Browns.
I never felt the Browns were not in the discussion.
We're getting to the point now where, I think
his price is coming down.
I think it becomes a more logical type of connection now.
I think I've been saying all along, I think, the Browns wide receivers are better, but a lot of it's projection. They have one, get excited as you want, Browns have one proven wide receiver. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Give me some badab, because we about to go there. So the first time I ever was on as a panel, I stated this.
Yeah.
I think that Amari Cooper is a proven thing, but outside of Amari Cooper, it's a bunch of potential.
Yeah,
if something was to happen to Amari Cooper, do you really trust Elijah Moore and DPJ as your 1 and 2?
Definitely not.
No.
We know Tillman. We know Tillman is a rookie.
Yeah.
Marquise Goodwin, he has the speed, but he's a veteran, and I'm not expecting too much out of him. I think if you add DeAndre Hopkins, it solidifies this group as the second best group in the AFC North behind the Cincinnati Bengals, without question. You want to be able to give your $230 million quarterback that you've invested so many resources in every weapon to his disposal. We just talked about in the first segment how there's no excuses. And we've already understand that the Browns are all in based on every move that they've already made. And so I really felt like the Browns are always in the mix, regardless of what the media outlets were saying. I just feel like it's a perfect fit for DeAndre Hopkins and for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I hope so, Jason. What do you think?
It kind of, I don't want to use this comparison, but I will anyway.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect fit, but it kind of feels like the Jadeveon Clowney thing. Now, Jadeveon is different because he chose to come late. He wanted to do that every year.
Yeah.
But just in terms of that veteran who's been around, and I wasn't, so I don't like the comparison because I didn't love the Clowney signing even the first time around. But just that veteran who sort of falls through the cracks, who the number gets to be at the right point. Remember, Hopkins visited the Titans, and Vrabel made it very clear, listen, I'm past recruiting. I'm not coaching college anymore. You want to come here. It felt to me when Vrabel said that, it was like, listen, you want to come here? Here's our number. We're not getting a bidding war over you. We're not going to woo you. If you want this, take it. If not, leave it and go somewhere else. And I just get the sense that's how a lot of the teams around the league are viewing this Hopkins thing. So I'll say what I said when this started. The longer it goes, and now here we are into the end of June, I think the better the odds that he does land here.
Would you, if the Browns did sign Hopkins, would you trade Donovan Peoples-Jones?
I would, yeah. Because I don't think he's coming back anyway.
I think it depends what you could get for him. Ultimately.
You're not going to get a ton.
Although, this was stupid. They shouldn't have done it. But remember, the Bears gave up a second-round pick for Chase Claypool.
Yeah, but Claypool had more of a track record than DPJ.
Does he?
He was a higher pick, more high profile.
He was not a high pick.
Claypool? He was like
he was a second-round pick.
Yeah, second or third round
So
pick.
I agree with you to that point, but I do think between the two players, I think DPJ is the better player. I don't see if the Browns was to trade him, you'll probably get a fourth-round pick back, which is
fourth or fifth.
Then I wouldn't do it. I'm not trading him for a fifth-round pick. I just let him walk at the end of the next year. What's the point? I don't need that fifth-round pick. I'd rather have the depth. Now, if I could trade DPJ for a linebacker or another position that I could use,
you can.
Maybe I would do that.
That could be a
I don't want to trade him
trade.
for a late-round pick. I'd rather keep him as a depth wide receiver, but it gives you some options because you don't really – DPJ had a nice season, and he's a nice player. But you don't need him if you get DeAndre Hopkins because Elijah Moore, you sign and you have for a number of years. You have obviously the kid you drafted this year. I still don't think they're going to cut David Bell. Maybe if they bring in Hopkins,
they're not cutting David Bell.
But
in year two, after they held on, I understand they made.
I don't think Marquise Goodwin is 100% on this team.
No, I don't either. I don't.
What has he done? Everybody's like, well, his speed, but he's never done anything.
I mean, we're going way down the rabbit hole now.
Yeah.
But the DPJ, the reason I would trade him is you want to maximize the value of the asset, and if you're not going to bring him back next year, if he's not going to be here next year anyway, if you do get someone like Hopkins,
right?
Why lose him for nothing? The good teams find ways to maximize the value of these guys. And that is a fourth or fifth round pick that valuable, not on its own merit, but it could be bundled with something in the future to move up and down a board.
So I think when you look at it, right, we look at the Browns linebacker core, and I think we all kind of scratch our head of how do they view the linebacker position, what type of linebacker are they looking for. If I was to trade DPJ for a linebacker, I would look to Arizona and probably try to see if I can get Isaiah Simmons. I think the way
He's moved to the secondary. They're playing him at safety, I think, this year, right?
He's moving to safety this year.
Yeah.
So he's like one of those hybrid
but
guys.
to me, he's like DP. He's like
Jock, right?
He's like what?
Jock. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
they're kind of similar.
I don't really want two of those guys. I don't really like the one we have. I get what you're saying, but I mean, Arizona's a team that you would want to. I don't know if they have any other linebackers.
I don't think, and this is.
I don't think Isaiah Simmons.
We've mentioned Simmons before, and whenever we throw hypotheticals out there, and Earl, I like the idea. I think Simmons would be a good addition to this Browns team.
I just think JOK and Simmons on the same team doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I also don't think the Cardinals want anyone who's competent on their roster this year.
Yeah, what would they're not trading for? What's the point of them trading for DPJ when they're not playing to win? He's going to be a free
I
agent.
feel like even if they're not playing to win, you got to build with something. He'll be a free agent. Maybe he's a guy that they might want to sign.
Yeah, but they could sign him anyway because he's going to be a free agent next year.
That's true too.
I don't see. To me, you look at a team that's good but could use some help at wide receiver.
Like the Patriots or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean,
they're in the Hopkins.
I'm thinking more NFC maybe, but I guess.
I mean, I'm just throwing out teams. I'm not saying it's realistic.
Yeah.
I'm just a team that could.
I mean, maybe the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants.
You know, what's their linebacker situation? I don't know, but and it doesn't even have to be a linebacker. Maybe it's another defensive tackle. Because let's face it, the Browns don't have anything proven at defensive tackle except for Tomlinson. The rest of the guys are all crapshoots.
Yeah.
Maybe it's probably. I guess probably not. I was thinking a veteran running back, but I doubt they would do that. Who knows? Maybe it's an offensive lineman they like. I mean, I'm not sure, but if I'm going to trade him, I trade him for a position.
I can see that being an offensive lineman because you're playing 2 guards, $14 million a year, and exactly how much longer are you going to be able to do that?
They're going to move on from was Wyatt Teller a free agent at the end of this year?
He has 2 years left.
Oh, he's 2 years left. They could probably get out of his contract after this year.
Yeah, I don't know what the dead cap money is.
If Wyatt Teller doesn't get back up to that top line standard, then they'll cut him after this year, I think.
Probably.
And move on. So, there's options. I don't think you have to trade DPJ, and it's not a bad thing to have good depth at wide receiver.
Certainly not.
But if I'm going to trade him, I'd rather trade him for a player than a pick.
Teller has 2 years left after this year.
Yeah.
And it'd be a total dead cap hit of $11 million if they cut him after this year.
It's 2 years left after this year.
2 years. He's under contract
so they probably
through
can't get out of that for another
2025.
year.
Well, I still think this is a really big year for him.
Yeah, sure. Right, he had that great year, and he's been injury prone, and as even though Pedonio's older, I'm not moving on from him.
No,
He's the
not
best.
at all.
He may be the best guard in the league. So I
think he
top
retires
2 or
here.
3. Yeah, I don't want to see. It would be good to see him retire here, no doubt. All right, so there you go, Mikey.
That was good. No, it came across. It's worth talking about, and I do think Hopkins is a guy who we'd all be excited if he ends up here
Absolutely.
in Cleveland. He would give them at least another guy, to Earl's point, a proven guy on the outside to work with Deshaun Watson.
We don't know. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a third receiver in my mind.
Agreed.
That's what he
agree
is.
with
Elijah Moore, could he be better than a third receiver? Maybe. He was, as you guys said, drafted high, excellent athlete, but he did nothing with the Jets. Okay, and you can say, well, they had bad quarterbacks. Well, Garrett Wilson had a great year last year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
Elijah Moore was pouting in the background because he wasn't playing enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a reason he didn't play enough. I don't know. I like him. I think he's got potential, but it's potential.
Yeah.
And the other guys are total wild cards. DeAndre Hopkins may not be at the top of his game anymore, but he's not that far off of it. If you look at a per-game basis, he still played at a pretty high level last year. And by the way, I think all the games he missed last year were due to suspension, not injury.
I mean, to your point, though, Garrett Wilson won Offensive Rookie of the Year with no quarterback. And when I made the argument, adding DeAndre Hopkins earlier this month, the pushback I was getting was, well, DPJ hasn't reached his ceiling yet. He's never had competent quarterback play. My counter argument to that is we all watched Josh Gordon, ball out, and the Browns have never pretty much had competent quarterback play.
Yeah.
So I think if you're that dude at wide receiver, you're that dude, and it doesn't matter who's throwing you the football.
To some degree, yeah. I mean, I think the Josh Gordon thing was pretty unique in a weird way. And, yeah, I mean, a wide receiver is going to put up generally better numbers with a great quarterback than a decent quarterback than a bad quarterback. But in general, I agree with your point. You know who the great wide receivers are. And nowadays, they hit pretty quickly. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a perfectly nice wide receiver. There's nothing wrong with him.
He's a great for the value of the 6th-round pick. It's a home run.
But I think he's about at his ceiling. I think maybe there's another level, but I agree with Earl. I think he's at his ceiling, which is nothing wrong with that. He's a nice NFL player. He's going to be in the league a while.
Player, yes.
If a guy can get 600 to 700 yards a year, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and he's a 6th-round pick, and we all think he's a third wide receiver,
that's a home run.
But I'm not paying that guy $10 million a year.
Not at all.
I'm not interested in giving him a long-term contract. I don't know what he's hoping to get, but I'm not interested in it. Mike, what do we got next? What do you got next for us?